Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our WWE RAW reactions. This is part 2 from an episode where we saw Stephanie McMahon call out Brie Bella after, of course, she got arrested last week. There was a pretty cool announcement that we saw come of all this. That's the last thing we saw happen in tonight's Raw, so stay tuned. We'll talk about everything that happened beforehand, and eventually we'll let you know what's going down between Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon. I'm RJ here with Retro Brett and C-Dub. Corey, we saw Rusev weighing about 138 kilos coming out with Lana as usual, talking shit about the USA, and because they were in Houston, Texas, they went after George Bush. You must have been disgusted.
Yeah, I mean, I know whenever we were skydiving today, as we mentioned in part 1, we certainly, George had mentioned something about this Rusev and Lana deal, that he was going to, put a stop to it, that he had appointed Zeb Coulter himself, along with Jack Swagger, as his representatives. Coulter and Swagger came out after Lana started off cutting a promo on Texas, the United States, our current president, and as you said, former President George W. Bush. This is really dangerous territory to tread on whenever you're dealing with political-based angles. But if it's done right, it's not distasteful. It's almost guaranteed to work. Done wrong, as maybe people can remember the Muhammad Hassan fiasco. If it's done wrong, it can be catastrophic. Of course, Zeb and Swagger came out. Zeb is so awesome on the mic, man. He's been getting the best reactions for Jack Swagger he's had in his entire career. We saw Rusev and Swagger go at it again. Swagger almost got the Patriot lock on, but this confrontation sort of broke up before it begins. I fully expect to see a rematch of their Battleground matchup at SummerSlam. RJ, what were your thoughts on this segment?
I thought it was, of course, more leading up to basically a rematch of another match that we saw during Battleground. We talked in part 1 about the Chris Jericho-Bray Wyatt feud kind of being sparked. That way they can do a part 2 for SummerSlam. I think we're seeing the same exact thing happen between Rusev and Jack Swagger. Basically Rusev did the same old spiel with Lana. Jack Swagger came out with Zeb Coulter. It was pretty much everything on repeat, which isn't a terrible thing because that is a pretty good feud, considering one is pro-Russia and one is trying to represent the USA. It's pretty natural, especially with what's going on right now with Russia, that's for sure. Now, Damien Sandow came out here, Corey, dressed up like an astronaut, I guess because they're in Houston, of course, and he was followed up by the Exotic Express and Adam Rose, and he got the party foul immediately. This might be the shortest match of all time. Have you seen a match go shorter than this?
Oh, absolutely. I could mention quite a few. Of course, Diesel won the WWF Heavyweight Championship in a matter of, I believe, 6 or 9 seconds over Bob Backlund back in the mid-'90s.
Wow.
But on to Spaceman Sandow and Adam Rose. This was a complete filler segment and match. Rose wins after the party foul. It's a shame to see Damien Sandow wasted this way. I mean, it's comedy, but come on, man. The guy's pretty talented and versatile, really. To me, this can be summed up with 4 simple words. Ratings killer, show filler.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's keep it moving then. I don't think we have much to talk about this. That was really just an odd event there, to say the least. Here's a pretty crazy matchup we had. Kane versus Roman Reigns. I'm a huge Kane fan. Been a fan of him ever since the Big Red Machine days, so I definitely want him to come out in the limelight a little bit more than just being a goon for the Authority. Perhaps this was the beginning, but that wasn't the case. Corey, what happened?
Yeah, we saw, of course, this matchup announced earlier in the night, but as Roman Reigns made his way out through the crowd, he was attacked by a very aggressive, very, very angry Randy Orton. He just came out and really destroyed Reigns. At the beginning, we saw Kane basically to run some interference there on behalf of Randy Orton. Clearly, this was a setup by those two. Randy Orton did eat a Superman punch early, but that was followed up by Kane laying him out. Orton recovered, took it to the outside, threw Reigns from pillar to post into the ring stairs multiple times, hits that big DDT off the barricade. This is obviously going to build up to a SummerSlam match between the two, maybe even involving Kane. I feel like Orton is one of the most talented guys in the company, but I think, if this is a match between Reigns and Orton building up, I feel like Reigns should get the victory and get Orton off our screens for a while, let his face get a rest. Reigns got put through a table for his troubles. Orton goes for the RKO. Table doesn't break. Comes back for number 2. Retro Brett, do you think this is going to be a one-on-one affair between Reigns and Orton at SummerSlam coming up?
Yes, I do. Actually, tonight I kept expecting Reigns to turn the tables, but he never did. And I think this is the first time we've seen him beat like that.
Yeah, he was beat up pretty good there. I actually kind of disagree with C-Dub a little bit there, where I like this Randy Orton storyline. Yeah, I felt like he showed a little bit more emotion than usual, which normally he shows next to none. And, Corey, did you notice how he was like all red and he just seemed like he was going into a total rage here? So, Brett, I know you've been watching wrestling, of course, basically during the entire Randy Orton era.
Yes.
So you've seen pretty much everything out of this guy. Do you think we can see a change out of him at this point, or is he going to be the same for the rest of his career?
I want him to get a lot more pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
He was the best when he was a dangerous motherfucker.
Yeah.
Bring back the punt. When the punt to the head, bring back all the vicious motherfucking shit he did.
Perhaps, I mean, this looked like kind of a start here. I mean, he was screaming at him. Yeah, he was saying some crazy stuff.
This is what happens when you steal from me, bitch.
Yeah. And then, of course, like I was expecting Roman Reigns to eventually wake the hell up and spear him, and then, of course, Superman punch him. Didn't happen. Corey, I know you're not a big Randy Orton fan. Did this do anything for you, or do you think he pretty much just needs to get his ass kicked and go away?
I mean, it's not necessarily that I'm not a Randy Orton fan. Orton, let's be real, guys. He's a multiple-time WWE champion. He's been near the top of the card pretty much his entire career. And, I mean, if we're really being realistic and comparing apples to apples, I feel like Orton is a possible future Hall of Famer. I just feel like Orton has just been on TV for so long, and I feel like if he were to go away for 2 or 3 months after a loss to Roman Reigns, A, that's going to elevate Reigns a little bit with a one-on-one victory over a guy like Orton. And B, it would give Orton an excuse to go away for a few months, let the fans forget about him a little bit. He's been used so much, then bring him back.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. For the record, I would love to see a one-on-one match between this guy right here, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. I think it'd be a great match, so I would be on board with that. But I do not want it to involve Kane. I know C-Dub kind of mentioned that maybe it would involve Kane. I don't want to see that. I want to see a one-on-one match and see what would happen, man. Ooh, man, that would be great. And we've talked about Roman Reigns, of course, needing a little bit more before he can reach the pinnacle. And hopefully, if he does take on Randy Orton, it's a hell of a match. And damn, that's a great idea, Retro Brett. Put him in a cage, do something, and that might just do it. That's for sure. We had, and one more thing I want to mention is Roman Reigns did suffer multiple RKOs here, so hopefully he's okay. Fandango versus Diego with Layla and Summer Rae. Corey, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, you can't forget the presence of El Torito. Quickly, Layla and Summer both looked amazing, as always. Pretty much the only highlight of this segment. The whole Torito comedy act is pretty stale. Diego gets the win. I get a snack from the fridge and come back in time to see the mini bull Gore Fandango square in the nutsack. That was pretty much about how I felt watching it.
Yes. Naomi and Cameron, another event that I really have nothing to talk about here. I know they faced off against one another. Corey, do you want to throw anything out on about that one?
Yeah, before I jump into that real quickly, we saw another segment with Goldust and Stardust about this cosmic key. Stardust was doing crazy calculations on a blackboard. Goldust mentioned that he knows what to do for the cosmic key and that they have it. Guys, I think this is building up to a match between possibly at SummerSlam for the tag team titles, Goldust and Stardust as villains versus the Usos. Maybe the cosmic key is the WWE tag team titles. But we'll go ahead and skip on over to that, to Cameron and Alicia Fox versus Natalya and Naomi. I thought there was some pretty good wrestling from Natty and Alicia here. All four ladies really brought it in what was a short match. Naomi gets the win. I like these tag teams. I mean, they got a pretty good reaction. I think they should keep this going.
Oof, I disagree. I didn't like that match at all. Goldust and Stardust, Retro Brett against the Usos. I agree with Corey. I think they're leading up to that.
I'd rather talk about the Divas.
Yeah.
I liked seeing them. Naomi looked pretty good, and of course, Natalya is going to look good in the ring because she's from the Hart family.
Ooh, Natalya fan, are you?
Well, I mean, she's got wrestling pedigree, so
yeah,
of course she's going to look good in the ring, and
she's a good fighter.
Just looked good tonight.
So. Yeah, I liked how obviously they had the all pink going on there. They kind of matched up. That was pretty cool. All right, here we go, guys. The Chris Jericho versus Seth Rollins showdown. This was pretty cool, guys. Definitely a great match. Seth Rollins is one of the most exciting wrestlers in the WWE, so the prospects of having him go against Chris Jericho was just a natural fit, and we finally saw it, Corey. Break down this huge matchup.
Well, this is one of those rare occasions, man, where I was sort of left speechless. I'm going to be brief about it, but, cover it. I feel like this was a match of the night, absolutely, tied up there with the opener with Cesaro and Cena. There was so many highlight reel worthy moves and spots to mention in this. It was an amazing blend of similar yet pretty unique styles. Like I said, there's so much to recap in this, guys. I can't even begin to sum it up in what short time we do have left. If you didn't watch it live, please, I'm urging you, go back and watch it. That was a damn good match. And I really hope to see more of those two in the future, possibly battling it out. In the end, we did see Jericho hit the top rope code breaker, which was cool. Mm-hmm. As soon as he did, the Wyatt family entered, attacked Y2J, left him laying again. We will see a rematch between the two at SummerSlam. I can't wait. RJ, can Jericho overcome these stacked odds against him with all three Wyatts on the prowl?
I guess I think so, man. I thought Bray Wyatt was going to take him out in the first match. Of course, there's a good chance that, of course, because Bray Wyatt lost against Jericho in Battleground, that Bray Wyatt will win this time around. But I also see that maybe they're building up Chris Jericho. Earlier on in the night, we saw him come out and just speak out directly against the Authority. I mean, he basically went out there like a badass mofo and told him what was up, leading to the match with Seth Rollins. And, obviously, if Chris Jericho continues to win, he's got the pedigree, sorry guys, to actually pull something off here. What'd you think about that match, Retro Brett?
Pedigree not to be confused with Triple H's finisher.
No.
Yes, I do agree with Corey. It was an epic match. However, I think the first match of the night was slightly better. Cesaro versus John Cena, but the Jericho Seth Rollins match was really, really good.
Yeah.
And it had some really, really awesome, breathtaking moves, as only high flyers can do.
And, of course, we did not see a victor because Bray Wyatt came in and interrupted everything, so hopefully we do see a rematch. Corey, with the Wyatt feud coming, I mean, when do you think they could actually have a rematch of this big face-off between Chris Jericho and Seth Rollins?
If I'm not mistaken, guys, this is the first time that these two have faced off one-on-one.
I believe so.
I feel like this is WWE sort of testing the waters. I know Jericho is a guy who probably isn't going to wrestle all year long with his commitments to Ozzy and other things. But I feel like if they were to put Rollins and Jericho together in a feud, maybe after this Wyatt thing simmers down, I feel like that would be money. I mean, absolute money. Maybe you could even say it's money in the bank.
Knew that was coming.
Okay, so the final event that we saw tonight after the Chris Jericho versus Seth Rollins matchup, which got interrupted by the Wyatt followers and Bray Wyatt himself, Stephanie McMahon came out. Corey, Stephanie McMahon has been humbled.
Yes, absolutely. Stephanie came out looking very apologetic and, frankly, pathetic on the mic to start out the segment. Of course, the charges had been filed against her and by Brie Bella for the assault. And then we saw the Mrs. Daniel Bryan enter through the crowd. Man, she was pretty pissed. She called Stephanie a whiny little rich bitch, and she looked really pissed, which I'm sure she is legitimately, as in real life, not storyline. Her home was burglarized this week by Daniel Bryan, or rather, burglarized by a criminal who was chased down by her husband, Daniel Bryan. Definitely go read about that, guys. But Stephanie basically was asking Brie to drop all the charges, and Brie's demands were to demand her job back. If Stephanie would give her job back, she would drop the charges. But there was one more little catch to it. After Stephanie was enthusiastically agreeing, Brie wants a match with Stephanie at SummerSlam one-on-one. We heard some huge yes, yes, yes chants. Stephanie's, playing all crying, being afraid, and then as soon as we knew it, she just slapped the ever-loving shit out of Brie Bella off the apron, said she's going to make Brie her bitch at SummerSlam. Those two were brawling until the road agents broke it up. This is awesome chants as Raw goes off the air. Certainly a strange segment to see, a feud like this featured at the end of the night, but wow. Some surprisingly decent heat for this. Retro, one thing I got to ask you. Do you expect Triple H and Daniel Bryan to possibly be in the respective corners of their wives in this big SummerSlam grudge match?
That would actually be a really good angle. I like that a lot, C-Dub. I don't know if they'll do it, but it's a good idea. However, I wasn't buying Stephanie being all choked up and acting all pathetic, because a simple battery is not a very serious charge, and with all the money that they have, if you have money, you can make things go away.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't buying it at all, but I really, really like Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon. I think Stephanie McMahon should have made it for her job. If Brie beats her, then she gets her job back. But
still got time.
I don't think that's going to happen. If it didn't happen tonight, it won't happen. But yeah, it's a pretty epic way to end Raw, and it gives huge credence to the Divas division right now.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Brie Bella. I'm extremely excited, like you, Retro Brett, about the match. It's funny to have a match.
Divas match being the main event, or the most anticipated match on the card.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be the most anticipated, but it will be pretty cool to see Stephanie McMahon back in the ring, that's for sure. I thought Stephanie McMahon kind of jumped the gun by slapping Brie Bella there. I mean, Brie Bella hasn't really officially dropped the charges yet. She might want to hold off on that. But the quote of the night, in my opinion, was Stephanie McMahon telling Brie Bella that she's going to make Brie her bitch at SummerSlam. It'll be interesting to see who can come out on top of that one. As Brie Bella, man, she is so sexy. I'm glad she's back. I was hoping that whole, she quit wouldn't last too long. I wanted to see her back. I'm a fan of the Bella twins, Bella sisters there. They're pretty sexy.
However, this was totally not where I thought the storyline was going. I thought it was going that she and Daniel Bryan were going to try to have a baby, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, and Corey correctly predicted that Stephanie McMahon would eventually be put back in the ring from this event, so props to you, Corey. You are right. Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon is on for SummerSlam. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our WWE RAW reactions. Make sure to join us every Tuesday for our recap of this week's Raw and every week's Raw, as well as our preview to the big pay-per-views coming up. This one's next, SummerSlam, as well as our immediate reactions to the pay-per-view with our huge recap. SummerSlam is going to be a big one, guys. I'm RJ for Retro Brett. C-Dub, behave yourself out there in Texas. I know everything's bigger there, and you like to drink beer, so that could be a bad combination. Take us out, big guy.
Yeah, man, I'm certainly going to go pound some down. Make sure, guys, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, like, share. Please tell a friend if you enjoy what you hear every week here on Raw Reactions. Stay tuned and stay trippy, my friend.